Former President Donald Trump, the first former president in history to be indicted, has been indicted for a third time, this time over his efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're with us tonight. This latest indictment constitutes perhaps the most serious of the legal troubles against the former president.
Denver 7's Jessica Porter breaks down the indictment and his reaction. Jess?
Now, the indictment focuses on the 2 months between the 2020 election and the January 6th insurrection. The Department of Justice lays out 45 pages of evidence that Trump lied and conspired to hold on to power.
Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to disenfranchise voters, and conspiring and attempting to obstruct an official proceeding.
A grand jury indicted former President Trump on 4 charges: conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of and attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. The indictment says Trump lost the 2020 election, knew he lost, and then conspired to stay in the White House by putting pressure on elected officials in several states.
The attack on our nation's capital on January 6th, 2021, was an unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy. As described in the indictment, it was fueled by lies. Lies by the defendant targeted at obstructing a bedrock function of the U.S. government.
The indictment includes new claims by the DOJ that Trump and his 6 co-conspirators organized fraudulent electors in 7 states, had them cast fraudulent votes for Trump, and then transmitted those false certificates to the vice president and government officials to be counted on January 6th. Then, as the violence ensued on January 6th, Trump and his co-conspirators tried to convince members of Congress to delay certification of the election. Former aides and Vice President Mike Pence were named as witnesses. Pence responded to the indictment with a statement saying, quote, "On January 6th, former President Trump demanded that I choose between him and the Constitution. I chose the Constitution."
In response, Trump called the charges interference in the 2024 election, reminiscent of Nazi Germany, and political targeting. He is expected to appear in court Thursday in Washington, D.C. Live in the studio, Jessica Porter, Denver 7.
All right, Jessica, what a day. Thank you.
And now let's go over how we got to this point.
It kicks off on election night 2020 when then President Trump prematurely declared victory.
4 days later, Joe Biden was the projected winner of the presidential election. Trump refused to concede at that time.
1 month later, the Electoral College formally elected President Biden. But in 7 states, fake electors submitted documents falsely declaring Trump the winner.
Then comes January 6th. Congress met to certify the results. Trump held a rally near the White House, telling supporters to march to the Capitol and fight like hell. Hours later, the Capitol insurrection broke out.
Fast forward to last November. The Department of Justice appointed a special counsel to oversee the investigation into the insurrection.
Now to last month. The DOJ sent Trump a target letter in the January 6th investigation, leading to today's indictment. And as we mentioned, Trump's legal problems are growing. He now has 3 criminal cases against him. He became the first former U.S. president in history to face criminal charges when he was indicted back in March. And that indictment over alleged hush money payments made to Stormy Daniels to cover up an alleged affair. And then in June, Trump was indicted over the mishandling of highly classified documents. Trump pleaded not guilty to storing dozens of documents at his Mar-a-Lago resort. Meanwhile, another investigation is underway over Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election in Georgia. The district attorney is expected to make a decision on whether to indict Trump for that in the coming weeks.
More than 1,000 people now were arrested in connection to the January 6th Capitol attack. More than 300 are charged with assaulting or impeding law enforcement, and 17 were arrested right here in Colorado. Our coverage of another historic indictment against former President Trump continues right now online. Head to our homepage of Denver7.com.